Exciting, thrilling, awesome. Let's take a look.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets. It Rob and another Mets Hot Talk live right here, March 7th, Tuesday, 2023. Here we are once again, right here on the channel, talking Mets baseball. In about a little more than an hour from now, Mets are going down to West Palm Beach to face the Houston Astros. And Carlos Carrasco is on the mound, but there is some news regarding the Mets. Two pitchers that the Mets should be counting on this year in the 2023 season. One more significant than the other, as you guys probably already know. Jose Quintana is injured, went down with a fractured rib that is probably going to keep him out for a decent amount of time. There was some rumblings that he could be out until May. That's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, sometime in June. But this is the reason why the New York Mets got depth within the rotation. Again, we didn't expect to have our depth already being used prior to the season, but that's why you require depth just for scenarios just like this. Now, Jose Quintana, I thought was one of the X factors that the Mets could have had in this rotation prior to the injury. And he had a really good year last year. And he is also a workhorse. He is a guy that can throw 200 innings without a problem. And he's been more durable for the most part. Besides his injuries early on in his career, that's been something that he's kind of worked out. But unfortunately, fractured rib or a stress fracture in the rib that is going to cause him to be out for a couple of months. And that is a big blow to this rotation, considering the fact that there is question marks within this rotation that the New York Mets have to really focus on, especially early on in the season. But we do know the possibilities and the replacement that we can have with Jose Quintana, and we can name them all: Eliza Hernandez, Joey Lucchesi, David Peterson, and of course Tyler McGill. Those guys are going to have the opportunity to win that fourth spot in the rotation. And another person that is pitching today, Carlos Carrasco, we do have to see something better from him. He is our fifth starter at the moment, but you know what? He even complained about the pitch clock and that he didn't like it as much, but obviously he has to adjust to that. So that's unfortunate for the Mets part. And the other guy that is day-to-day is David Peterson. David Peterson looked like he's going to be fine. It's just day-to-day, so as soon as he gets a couple of days off, he should be ready to go. He's going to be another X factor. You know, again, the Mets are probably looking at David Peterson a little bit more to fill in that spot in the rotation to replace Jose Quintana. You want to throw a lefty in there. I do not like, and I complained about this last year, even though the rotation was pretty damn solid, I always like to have a lefty in the rotation. It just changes things up, especially if you play a 3 or 4 game series. You change it up so it can mess with the lineup of the other teams a little bit. So I think it's important that David Peterson probably has a leg up, and he's been pretty good this spring training so far. And of course, because of the players in Major League Baseball are going to the World Baseball Classic, that gives opportunities for other people who are not going to the WBC to possibly open up some eyes and possibly get a spot on the roster for opening day. That is something that we're going to have to talk about a little bit more. I think David Peterson has a leg up, but it all depends. It's only March 7th. We got a couple more weeks until opening day. So, you know, if Tyler McGill pitches better than David Peterson, I think you have to give it to the guy who is the best in spring training. Not just because you want a lefty in the rotation doesn't mean that if he doesn't perform in spring training and somebody else does, that you should just give the guy to the person you probably wanted to go in that rotation. I think the best pitcher that performs in spring training should get the spot in the rotation. So once again, guys, the Mets are traveling down to West Palm Beach to play the Astros. Carlos Carrasco is on the mound. We got the lineup in a second. Let me just pull up the lineup really quick so you have an idea of what you're going to be looking at. Again, the game is not on TV on SNY. It is on radio. So if you want to listen to Howie and Rad on the broadcast, on the radio broadcast, you can. And of course, tomorrow the Mets are playing Venezuela in a scrimmage with the country, of course, and the Mets down in spring training. So that is going to be fun to look at. You can see Escobar playing against his own teammates, and I do believe there's somebody else on Venezuela that is also a Met as well. And it is on Dofu Sports app as well. Ocean View, thank you for that. If you want to check that out as well, you can as well. I remember I think you were the one that told me last year that you can turn it, that somebody asked about an app that you can watch the games anywhere without blackouts. Dofu Sports is a good app. I actually use it. Thank you for reminding me about that. I actually use it for hockey games a lot of the time because I like to watch out of market hockey games that are not on TV. That's always fun as well. So let's look at the lineup for the Mets today at 6 o'clock against the Astros. Once again, Carlos Carrasco is on the mound for the Mets, and Framber Valdez, one of the better young pitchers in baseball, pitching for the Astros. So it's going to be a tough test for whoever's in the lineup. And this is the lineup for the Mets tonight at 6 p.m. Tim Locascio leading off. Luis Guillorme. Tim Locascio is playing center field. Luis Guillorme batting second, playing shortstop. Tommy Pham left field, batting third. Darren Ruff with the first start of spring, which Mark Canha is cleaning up, playing right field. Darren Ruff batting fifth, playing first base. who I think a lot of Met fans are very excited to see him start a game in spring training. Mark Vientos, one of the promising prospects in the Mets system, who's had a very good spring as well, playing third base, batting 6. Tomas Nido catching, batting 7. Francisco Alvarez, DH and batting 8. So we got 2 top prospects in the lineup today. And, of course, rounding up the lineup, batting 9th, Jose Peraza, who had another actually decent spring so far as well, batting 9th, playing second base. So that's your lineup for our Mets. And, just looking at the averages, I know that's not a lot to look at, but, it's been about a week and a half since about a little over a week since spring training games has gotten started. Tim LaCastro looked pretty good. Luis Guillorme is looking pretty good. Tommy Pham has been struggling. Mark Canha is around his career average. Mark Vientos batting over 300. So that's something that you have to see as well. Francisco Alvarez has a 0 batting average, which is a little concerning. But again, he's not going to make the team anyway. He just got to get his reps in AAA. Lord, people, come on. Grow up, people. You're adults. Let's go. Stupid comments, I tell you. All right, so let's see. So, as we know about the prospects, Mauricio, Vientos, and Viento and Beatty are looking really good in the spring. There is a huge possibility that one of them is going to make the team on opening day. I still believe it's going to be Brett Beatty, but Vientos is making a run for it as well, especially as a right-handed bat. He could be the one to replace Darren Ruff. I don't know if the Mets, now again, Darren Ruff's first start is today, so we'll see how he does. He's dealing with that arthritis in his wrist. So that's something you have to watch out for him. Again, you can probably poll 1,000 Met fans, and probably 1,000 of them will say get rid of Ruff and bring one of these kids up in his spot. I agree with that. I think Beatty and Vientos should make the team. But again, Ronnie Mauricio is making a claim for that one of those spots as well. But I still think the Mets are going to keep Ronnie Mauricio in the minors for at least a little while. And I think Beatty and Vientos are probably more likely because of the fact that, you already got Luis Guillorme who can play multiple infield positions. You need a guy that can be like a Swiss Army knife, and Beatty is that. Beatty can play third. Beatty can play left field. And, of course, Vientos, even though he's really positionless, he can play third. He can play first. He played both of those positions in spring so far. And also he can be the right-handed DH behind with Daniel Vogelback as well at the DH spot. So look for Beatty and Vientos, who's having a good spring so far. But we all have to calm down. Everybody's talking about, people with the Yankees are talking about Volpe, who's looking really good. Mauricio, Beatty, Vientos, all looking good. Let's see them in the middle of March when you're facing major league pitching on an everyday basis, with starting pitching into bullpen, because there's a lot of times, if you really watch the games, that these guys are facing basically guys who are going to be career minor leaguers. Once we get into the middle of March and guys are ramping things up and they're using their starters in their bullpen that they're going to use for major league games in a game in spring, that's when you're really going to know the best guys in the world that are going to be making this team, going to be going to opening day with their teams that are on major league rosters. That's when you're really going to know who is going to outperform and shine and open up people's eyes, like Pete Alonso did, because there was all this hype with 2019 with Pete Alonso. He had a monster 2 weeks, struggled a little bit, but then picked it back up in the last 2.5 weeks of spring training with all the major league bullpen arms and starters that he was facing, and that's why he made the team in 2019. So before we go crazy, let's make sure that when we get to the middle of March, these guys are hitting major league pitching amongst starters and bullpen, and then we can really talk about who is really going to make this team. One of them is going to. There's a one position spot available, unless the Mets are really looking at a guy like Tim LaCastro, who can make this team because of the fact of stolen bases should be a big thing this year, and he can play multiple outfield positions. That is something that the Mets might have to look at as well, and it might take a spot away from one of our top prospects. But we'll see. It's early, and you just have to wait and see, because I really like what Beatty, Vientos, and Mauricio is doing. I still believe, no matter what, that Ronnie Mauricio is going to be the biggest trade chip in the Mets farm system. I don't think they're going to mess with him with changing positions. That's why I believe they haven't changed him in position-wise in the minor leagues. Yes, in the Dominican Winter League, he played second, he played a little third, but every game in spring training, he's played at shortstop for the New York Mets in their minor league system. You don't have Lindor, have McNeil, have Beatty, have Escobar, and not move Mauricio to another position to help him get into the big leagues. There's a reason for that. And I do believe the biggest trade chip in the Mets system is Ronnie Mauricio. Obviously, the untouchables is Beatty, Alvarez. At that point, Mauricio, I think, is the biggest trade chip the Mets have. And I think they want to put him in the best position to have the highest value, and that is shortstop. Let him rake in the minor leagues. Let him continue to be really good at shortstop, and his value is only going to get higher. And when trade deadline comes around, the Mets need something big. No matter if it's a pitcher or it's a big hitter, they have that silver bullet that they can use in a trade chip to get the guy they're looking for. That's what the Mets are probably looking at, even though Mauricio probably can help this team. But I don't see the Mets doing that just yet. You know, I think they think that Vientos and Beatty could do the job without an issue. And I think Mauricio is just in a bad spot in the Mets organization because at one point he was the number one overall prospect in the Mets system a couple of years ago. And here comes Beatty, here comes Alvarez, here comes Parada, here comes Jet Williams, here comes Alex Ramirez, and now he's sixth on the Mets of top prospects. And, you know, that's no fault of his own. It's just that, you know what? At some point when you're basically in, you know, you're in purgatory basically in the Mets system, not saying the Mets think of him that way. I just think they see him as a bigger trade chip at this moment. And if you're going to move positions and he fails, the value is going to go down. So that's where I think the Mets are around in Mauricio. And it's unfortunate, but yeah. Well, Rocky, I don't even think an injury would open that up. You know, maybe if Lindor happens to go down, God forbid, I don't even think they'll do that because they'll be like, all right, we need somebody that is sure-handed with the glove. Well, we already got Luis Guillorme, right? They might throw him there. You know, there was injuries all throughout the season last year that could have brought up Mauricio, right? Mauricio was having a really good year. What he had 27 home runs in the minor leagues last year. You could have brought him up. We needed power, right? We needed a bat, but you know, maybe multiple injuries, but even still, you know, you still got Beatty. You know, there's a lot of ways you can go about it. You know, I know a lot of people, and in the poll that I had, I think about a week ago about which player should, which top prospect of the Mets should make the opening day roster, and I made sure I made you only choose one. I didn't put both because that's too easy. I wanted to see what people were thinking about Beatty and Mauricio. It was close, but Beatty won. And there's a reason for that. I think if you take a step back and throw away your fandom for a second and look at the business side of it, Mauricio doesn't make a lot of sense bringing him up on the big league roster because he's not going to get a lot of playing time. And, you know, especially with Esco, even if Beatty is up with the big team, Beatty's going to get starts at third base, not Ronnie Mauricio. If Escobar is going to be DHing or stuff like that in certain spots or getting days off, you ain't moving Lindor, and McNeil's not going to get days off either. So Mauricio was kind of stuck. At least with Beatty, you could throw him to left field and put that bat in the lineup as well to replace Canner every now and then. So I can see Beatty getting 3 or 4 starts a week playing left field and third base. With Mauricio, where are you putting him? Unless there's injuries, yes, of course. But again, I see Ocean's talking about, especially when Marte got hurt. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. You know, when Mauricio got hurt, there was no reason why you couldn't put McNeil to right field or move Canna over to left and put McNeil in left field and bring up one of our top prospects. You know, I would have brought up Mauricio. He played a little bit more second in the Dominican Winter League than third base. So that would have been perfect. And he would have been a bat. Now, again, it might not translate to the major leagues. You just never know. Those 27 home runs might be cut in half, and he got 15, 14 home runs, which is not the go crazy about. But the Mets needed a little bit more power. And even with the lineup they currently have, I've explained this many times throughout the offseason. With this roster, or at least with this lineup, the amount of home runs that were expected from the lineup last year that we weren't close to getting, not because the Mets couldn't hit home runs, looking at the back of the baseball cards of these players in the Mets lineup, but they didn't perform to their expectations. McCann, anybody from the DH. I mean, I think we had 6 home runs prior to Vogelback from the DH spot for almost more than a half a year. That's not the way to win ball games. Yeah, they won 101 games, but that came down to a lot of small ball. And when he needed, a 3-run homer to get back into the ball game, the Mets seemed like they lacked that. And the issue was the DH spot, catcher, and at times third base, when Escobar was basically non-existent for the majority of the year, except for September. Even with a bad year, Escobar hit 20 home runs, but the Mets were expecting him to be the guy behind Pete Alonso, the protection. Escobar easily could have hit 25 home runs, 26 home runs. He basically did that throughout his career. So the Mets were expecting 5 or 6 home runs more. They were expecting at least 20 home runs from the DH spot, 10 home runs from the catcher spot. That's almost 30 home runs right there. 35 home runs right there, almost 40. So taking away those 40 home runs that were expected just easily, that should have happened, did not. And I think it hurt us down the stretch when we needed, that big home run here or there where we weren't getting them. Because even when guys are slumping, when you got a couple of big boppers in the lineup, every now and then a big bopper, even if they're in a slump, can, connect on one and hit one over the wall. The Mets lacked that last year, and that was obvious, and why a lot of people were more pissed off that they didn't do enough at the deadline for the lineup, more so than the bullpen. So that is something that the Mets, again, going with the same lineup. But if you look around the lineup, you can find home runs that were missed out last year easily. I think Omar Narvaez easily can hit 10 home runs. I mean, he had years where he almost hit 20. He has a fluctuation in years. One year he'll hit 18. Next year he'll hit 6. But if he gives us 10, I think that's 8 more home runs than we had all year from our catcher's position. And also with the DH spot, if Vogelback gives us 18 home runs, that's 18 home runs that we barely got in the first half of the season. We got 1 home run from the DH spot in the first half from between Smith and Davis. That's unacceptable. That's 18 home runs you're going to actually get from the DH spot. So right there, that's how many home runs? That's 28 home runs from 2 positions, that the 28 home runs you didn't even get last year. That's a big deal as well. So I just want to check out the chat really quick. Let me just say what up to everybody. Mr. Delightful You, member of Talking Mets with Rob, what's up? We got Sledge, how you doing? Sean, a member of Talking Mets with Rob. Sean Zarnecki, I love that name. A member of Talking Mets with Rob. Houston, Texas, Dave. Mets are going to win the World Series. Well, your lips to God's ears, buddy. Rocky, how you doing? Mike Lowe, how you doing? Ocean View, how you doing? Who else we got? Yamid, how you doing? Daniel, how you doing? All right, guys. So just make sure you guys hit on that like button, and don't forget, guys, you are able to share BXNYM. I love that. The Bronx Met fan. I love it. Make sure you wear that orange and blue proud on the BX, buddy. Alan, how you doing? Once again, guys, don't forget you can share this stream to your social media pages to get more people in this chat, or just later on to check out the channel as well. Once again, guys, we are going to be doing a lot more different things, or a lot of similar things, but more of the things that a lot of people loved last year, which was a lot of live streams during Mets games. And I do want to make sure I do a couple of more during the week than I did last year. It was kind of random when I would do games last year, but I'm going to put up a schedule a week in advance so you have an idea of what I'm going to be doing. Again, life happens, if canceling streams have to happen, I'll let you guys know. It will be all posted on my community page shortly, in about a couple of weeks or so when opening day is going to get started. Once again, you guys know I'm going down to Miami, so there won't be live stream during games, but there will be a couple of videos, a couple of shorts and vlogs, and short live streams prior to games and stuff like that. I will be going down there with the 7-line army and stuff like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to be rolling about 2,000 strong, a little over 2,000 strong with the 7-line, and of course all the transplants that are already in Florida. I mean, it's going to be probably about 20,000 Met fans, if not more. So that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. It's also Queens South, Citi Field South, which is definitely going to be lit and crazy with Met fans. It's going to be a lot of fun. Oddvillian, how you doing? So let's get back to I wanted to say something. I don't know if you guys listen to WFAN, but the meltdown that Greg Giannotti had on the morning show this morning, it was absolutely insane. And I know he dealt with mental health, so we'll just leave that to the side. But he had a little bit of a meltdown with the callers, calling them certain things and talking about women and all that crazy stuff. And then Boomer Esiason walked out of the room and left the mic. It was just really weird because they have a really good relationship. And it's just odd that all happened. But if you guys listen to it, it was completely insane. Like I was in the car when that whole thing was going down, and it was just crazy that what happened during that. But again, that's kind of crazy what happened earlier. If you are a WFAN listener, I know with the app, Odyssey app, you easily can listen to New York sports talk and all that stuff. BXNYM, I'm penciled in for the first 2 games at Miami, Section 6, Row F. I didn't get my tickets yet from the 7-line on opening day, but I will be there. I think I'm in, I don't know what section we're in, but I do know where we have 3 full sections on the Mets side of the dugout. I think it's a little bit towards right field. So until I should be getting my ticket in the next probably week or so, which will be very, very, very important. So I can have an idea where the hell I'm sitting, because there is about 15 people, subscribers of the channel, that are going down there as UBX as well. And among others that emailed me want to know where I'm sitting. And honestly, I don't know yet. I know Saturday I'm going to be in a suite with a couple of, probably about 30 people that I'm good friends with through the 7-line, that we're going to get a suite, that we're in a suite for that game. And, with all the food and the drinks and all that fun stuff that, seemed like a good idea, and for the money, you can't go wrong there. So just pay the extra $10. That's true too. Hey, villain, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, right? Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Like I said, I like to walk around, but I like to be focused on the game. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, I'm not one of those people that walk around the ballpark for hours, especially with the pitch clock now, that you could probably miss 3 innings by just walking around the ballpark, or getting a drink and concessions or food. And that's something that it's gonna take a little bit. I'm in my seat a lot of the times anyway. I don't like missing action of the game, but again, I do know there's a lot of people. There was about 15 to 20 people that emailed me that wanted to know where I was sitting, because they want to say what's up, take pictures, which, I'm still like, why you want to picture it with me? It's just weird. But it's cool. If you do, I don't say no. Again, so I'm also going to be doing, especially for opening day in Miami, I'm going to be walking around. The 7-line has their own parking lot that they're going to be tailgated in before the game. So and inside the stadium, I'm going to go to Met fans, doing a quick vlog about Mets record for the year, how many wins they're going to get, and all that fun stuff. Spring training was a little bit harder to do because a lot of people just didn't want to be bothered to get questions asked. They're just more of that low-key, like, calming Florida vibe, I guess, in spring training. So that was a kind of a bust, but what are you going to do, right? Excuse me. So it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. And Sean, I would not call myself. Look, I'm a fan like you guys. I just made myself a platform to speak about the Mets and the passion. That's basically it. So yeah, that's the thing with seriously in spring training. I know it's different. Like when I'm there for the spring training games, uh like I literally was on the concession getting some food and a drink, and I think it was the third inning if I'm not mistaken. I left after the second inning was over, so you get 2.5 minutes through commercial break. Getting online, and obviously spring training, there's not a lot of seats, not a lot of people. There's a lot of people, but the lines aren't as long as they are at a major league ballpark. I missed the entire third inning, and that was no less than 12 minutes that I was on the line for concessions. Walking the concessions, waiting online, getting my food, and coming back to where I was sitting. Like literally 12 minutes, and the inning was over. Like that's something that is going to be, you're going to have to like plan your situation out. Like if you want to get food and drinks, get it before the game. I know every now and then you drink a couple of beers, you drink a couple of soda, whatever it is. You're gonna be online a lot. Buy 3 beers, I guess. And just hold them. I don't know. Hopefully it's cold out, so you keep the beers cold. So it is. I am from Queens. Yes, I am, Villain. I am from Queens, born and raised. Yeah, so the clock's going to be a very interesting. Listen, I'm going to plan my pregame out when it comes to getting my food. I'll get my food about 20 minutes before the game and my drink, so I get to my seat and I'm there. I just want to let all the members know that I am working on custom emojis, new ones for the season. I'm also going to be doing backgrounds that I'm putting together so members can actually put the backgrounds on their phone, laptops, or whatever. I'm doing a cool ones with the rotation. I'm doing a couple of cool ones with the infield and also the outfield as well. Doing a little bit of things with my logo and all that fun stuff as well. I'm in the process of moving, so I'm kind of like everything around me is like bare right now, not much left. So I'm in the process of moving. Unfortunately, I am staying in New York. I'm actually moving closer to Citi Field, which is wasn't a plan. It just so happened. So excuse me. So it's going to be a hectic week for sure because I officially moved in on Sunday to the new place, so it's going to be very interesting as well. Stezo, that's actually awesome. You going to the WBC? All right, that's cool. That's awesome. I know the tickets went pretty quickly, so that's cool that you got them. Yeah, Sean. Hey, Travis, what's up, buddy? Oh, Travis, I wanted the extra. I don't know if did I ask you this? Are you going to the cruise with the 7 line the day after opening day? I was just curious because I know a lot of people who went last year are not going this year, so I was just curious. Yeah, Sean, I know a lot of people were saying about backgrounds too. Like I'll show you guys. I have the Tom Seaver in front of Citi Field statue one, and athletes logos is awesome with the things, and I do have the shirts, the Verlander one, which is kind of cool with the Shea Stadium neons. Oh, you might go? Okay, cool. I was curious. I might go. I'm not sure yet. There's a couple of tickets left. I know that. If I don't go, it's not the end of the world. But it was pretty cool last year, and paying what is it, $160 for free food and drinks. You can't complain, and some good views. So that's always fun. So, all right. Yeah, that one's which one? The neon Verlander one or the Tom Seaver Citi Field one? And don't worry, I'm going to Citi Field just to take a couple of pictures and going back and forth, moving all my stuff to the other place that I'm going to. Like I'm literally going over. If you guys know about the Van Wyck, you're going over to Van Wyck, and if you get up that little road up there while you're turning onto the other side of the Van Wyck, you actually can see Citi Field pretty well, and the scoreboard is freaking the video board is actually humongous. I mean, you can see it from a mile away. It's huge. So I'm actually gonna go on the Citi Field grounds, not inside, outside. So I'm gonna take pictures and stuff like that with the camera and be all that fun stuff. Oh yeah, the Seaver one. Yeah, I'm gonna take other ones too that I do. I'm gonna incorporate the Seaver statue in City Field and like do a little bit of effects and graphic art and stuff like that. So I'm gonna do probably about 5 to 10, and I'm just gonna post them for the members. So you guys have some cool backgrounds for the season that you can use anywhere. Villains from Corona, I love it. Close, yeah. I'm in college. I'm in College Point, so that's where I'm going. I'm not doing play by play. That's why I'm doing the Met Talk Live 5 instead of 6 because the Met game starts at 6, and I know some people, if you got the app, are gonna the Dofu Sports app. You can watch the game that way, or listen to it on the radio. So I didn't want to bother people that want to watch it. And of course, I'm still boxing crap up and moving all this fun stuff. So it's a lot of crap. And then I got to go to the other place and set up I waiting on Monday to set up the internet and all that crazy. It's insane. Like it's a lot. You guys know if you moved, it's a process and a half. And of course, with YouTube now, I have to make sure the internet's running good so I can get everything going. And it's 2 weeks before opening day, so I can't have no problems. I gotta be I gotta be on the move with this live stream stuff and setting up everything and all that fun stuff. So it's going to be a whole new background that you're going to see once I'm all situated and I planted myself in a new place, and we're going to new background stuff like that. The camera's going to be a little bit further back, so you get more of. I'm going to have a nice wall with all types of cool Met stuff and all that stuff that I acquired over the years and I got as gifts as well. I'm working on getting a monitor behind me so the I can have like certain like news things up on all that stuff as well. And score and all that fun stuff. I'm trying to work on that as well. So it's going to be a nice process, but it's going to be a better visual for you guys as well. And of course, as you guys know, thank you, Villain. Thank you. I wouldn't say congratulations yet because the process sucks. Don't go to the bar on the boulevard. I don't plan on it. I'm not a big person unless I'm not a big bar person. I never was, except if it's like big events and stuff like that. But if I do go to a bar, it's usually to a chain. It's a little easier, and a little bit more controlled. But yeah, definitely gonna make that a cool thing as well. So yeah, exactly, Sean. It is the plan. Oh, you just moved back east. Yeah, I got so much Met stuff I don't even know what to do with it. And just so you guys know, I'm going to be doing the giveaways soon. Again, as you guys know with the giveaways, members automatically get 2 entries into the giveaway that I usually do. And of course, if you're a subscriber, you get to do $5 entries. You do it through a super chat or donation to the channel. As many $5 entries you give, you get more entries into the wheel spin giveaway and all that. I think last year, somebody gave I think they had like 10 entries because they gave $50, and that person actually won, and they got sent a mystery box with a whole bunch of cool Met stuff. So, and I got a lot of cool stuff from spring training. Got a spring training pin, spring training cool what is it called? I don't even know what it's called. Jeez. Like one of these things. I forgot what they're called. Like this. I got koozies and all that fun stuff. I got the Mets spring training yearbook that has I believe Scherzer and Verlander on the cover with Alonso and Lindor and all that fun stuff. So gonna do giveaways prior to opening day, probably before I fly out to Miami. I'll probably do that, and then once I get back from Miami, I'll send the giveaway to whoever won. Yeah, and custom emojis, Mets backgrounds, and all that fun stuff. For the members that I'm gonna be setting up in the next couple of days. For some reason, the custom app that I used to use to do my emojis is I don't know what happened. It went bankrupt or some stuff. I don't know what happened, but it doesn't work anymore. So I gotta find a new app that actually makes custom emojis that I can use to make the emojis with all types of cool things. 94 years old and a bunch of messed up. Wow, that's awesome. Let me check. Lanyard. Yeah, I bet you got some like early Mets years cool stuff. That's always some fun stuff. Moved to College Point by the library. I'm not like like really familiar with that area much, besides the City Field area, but like College Point area, I'm kind of like trying to figure things out there, but I think I know where it is. I might have passed it a couple of times. Like I'm not too far from the DMV on 20th Avenue. That's like right around there. I'm like a few blocks from there, so yeah. Let's see. I'm just checking something really quick, guys. Give me a second. So we got about 25 minutes or so until the Mets face the Astros in West Palm Beach. Carlos Carrasco is on the mound, so that's something that we got to keep an eye on with Carlos Carrasco. I think this is his second start of the year, so we definitely have to hope that he figures it out with the pitch clock as well. It's still an adjustment period for them. Garcia, yes. I'm like right around there. I'm like a couple of blocks away. So I guess a lot of people know that area very well. And when I'm coming from my place to get into the Van Wyck, there's a little narrow street that has like a hill, and if you stop on top of that hill, you can see a nice view of City Field, which is kind of cool. Oh yeah, absolutely ocean view. Yeah, we're definitely getting Alcantara. I believe we're gonna have Scherzer for opening day, but you never know. Buck didn't really say it yet. Either one, Verlander or Scherzer, really doesn't matter. Just pitch well, and it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a low scoring game. Probably the Marlins are very protective of Alcantara, so I don't think he's gonna go deep into the game. First outing of the year. Obviously, they're not going to make him throw 90 to 100 pitches. He might be in the 70 to 75 range. So the Mets got to work the counts, which they did very well last year. That's what they're probably going to have to do with Alcantara to get him out of the game early. So that's probably the plan. As always, it's a very similar lineup from last year. You just have Daniel Lowe back a little bit more, new catcher, new situation like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Mets, the Mets scored nearly 5 runs per game last year throughout the entire season, 4.75 to be exact. That's something that if you asked around the person that didn't know that, they would have probably said closer to low 4s, maybe even a little under 4. It's not, you would be shocked that they almost scored 5 runs per game. And, besides the month of September, where the majority of the year they were over 5 runs per game, September really knocked them down a peg when it came to scoring runs. So that's something you have to wait and see, and hope that they can continue to get better on. Again, I think there's going to be a little bit more power in this lineup that people are not really paying attention to. I think the Mets can get between 30 and 40 home runs more just by the positions that didn't do their job last year power-wise. And if everybody goes to the back of the baseball cards that they did last year, Lindor hits 20 to 25, you can probably bank Pete Alonso hitting between 38 and 42, and other guys like that. And then everybody else, 15 to 20 around that area. I do think that the Mets are going to get a little bit more power than that we were expecting last year that we're going to get this year. So I just wanted to continue to, let me just check something. Let's see, what else we got? All right. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Ken is emailing me that he can't comment on the stream today. I don't know what happened. It's very odd, but yeah, that is odd. I'm not sure what's going on. I know a couple of people are having problems sending comments. I'm not sure why. It might be a YouTube thing. I didn't block anybody today, so I don't know. Yeah. I mean, look, Lindor had a really good year last year. You know, what did he have? 25 and 100. What he had? 20. He had 100 RBIs, I believe. He had a really good year. You know, I'm not trying to. I'm not expecting that again this year. You know, if he gives me 22 home runs and 95, I take it. So, you know, as long as Lindor hits 20 home runs or more, I'm okay with. Because the more important thing is get that average up a little bit, get on base for Pete Alonso. That's the most important thing. With Nimmo, Marte, and Lindor, get your ass on base for Pete Alonso. You know, Alonso had more RBIs than Aaron Judge last year, yet he had 22 less home runs than Aaron Judge last year. So get on base. Pete Alonso is a run producer. And I do think no matter if you put Vogelbach or Escobar behind Pete Alonso, there's going to be a little bit more protection than Pete Alonso had for the majority of last year. And I think that's a huge year. Hey, MB, how you doing, buddy? Okay, Stezo. Yeah, I know there's a glitch sometimes with that, like with certain people. Yeah, but hey, you know what it is. You know what? Ken got my email, so he'll email me. It'll be okay. I think he can watch the stream. I don't think he can actually talk. Frank, I haven't heard more except that he's day to day. So I'm assuming they're gonna give him a couple of days off and let him go off the mound, see how his foot is, but I think he should be okay. There was no fracture, no broken bone, a little bit of bruising, but nothing to worry about. Yeah, MB, I don't think our rotations is going to our depth's gonna be fine. Again, you didn't want to use your depth so early on in spring training, but at least we know that Quintana is not going to be back, best case scenario, at least to May and most likely June. So it gives everybody that has a shot at that rotation spot, McGill, Peterson, Lucchesi, those guys are going to get the opportunity to win that spot to replace Quintana. So you got the depth for a reason. And you use it. You don't want to use it this early, but you know what? It's not the top end of your rotation. It's the back end of your rotation. That can be easily replaced as long as you have depth. And let's be honest, McGill pitched opening day last year. Peterson was a big part of this rotation with all the injuries. Those two guys can easily fill a fourth spot. You know, I think the Mets probably want Peterson to make this rotation, considering he's the lefty, to replace Quintana, which I think is important. That the Mets, even though the rotation was really good last year, they didn't have a lefty in that rotation last year. And I think that sometimes can make the managers of other teams put up lineups they really wanted. They don't have to adjust for a starting lineup because the Mets always threw out righties unless there was injuries. So I think Peterson got the leg up. Unless McGill pitches better than Peterson, then I think McGill will get the spot. But that's something we have to look at as well. Yeah, I really like Quintana. I thought he was going to be an X factor for this rotation. He's a workhorse. He throws a lot of pitches. He's a guy that can spill your bullpen at times, which the Mets are going to rely heavily on this bullpen at least the first month of the season because you don't want to build up the innings for Verlander, Scherzer, and Senga. The bullpen's going to be huge for the first month, at least the first month and a half of the season, to spare those innings for later on in the season with those three guys. That's why it was important for our fourth or fifth starters to pitch, save the bullpen a little bit and pitch a little bit more innings and be the workhorses of this rotation, at least early on in the season. Upstate, the game's not on TV, so unfortunately I'm not going to stream it. I was going to do the radio call, but I can't stay too long, unfortunately. Been busy, but Dofu Sports app is something that you can get the away broadcast, TV broadcast, and you can watch it on that app. Let me just type it in again. I know somebody was nice enough to. That's where you can get the away broadcast, so you can watch it. At least you can watch a Mets game, even though it's not SNY's broadcast. You still get to it. Yeah, he's definitely going to miss a few months. Quintana. It's a stress fracture in his rib that, takes time to heal. We saw the stress fracture with DeGrom in his shoulder. That takes time to heal, and you can't have surgery on it. All you can do is let it heal on its own. Bone can heal. It just takes time. So it's unfortunate, but what are you going to do? But again, the Mets have quality replacements, at least at the moment. Let's hope nobody else gets hurt. But we still got replacements that can easily replace Quintana. In Lucchesi, McGill, Peterson, and even Eliza Hernandez, who is probably a long shot, but you just never know, depending on who works really well in the spring. Well, Valen, listen, I've said this over and over again. I know with a lot of people who are very analytical now, and my boy Hayden, who uses a lot of analytics to bring to his channel and bring his knowledge of baseball. I hate guys who can hit 30 home runs, but yet they bat 225. I mean, I'm not saying Lindor hits 230, but batting, give me 265, 270, even get closer to 280. And having 25 home runs and 95 RBIs, it's a huge difference, because what's that mean? That's you getting on base more with the average, with the walks as well, but with batting average, you put in the bat on the ball, and it makes the defense work. That's why the Mets were so good last year. They didn't strike out at the top end of the league with strikeouts. They put the bat on the ball, and they made the defense make the play. And a lot of times, the defense doesn't make the play, and the Mets benefit from stupid mistakes that the defense makes. You put the ball in play, anything can happen. You strike out, nothing happens except the Mets get in and out. And that's something that I try to, people love Jeff McNeil. Why? He doesn't hit home runs because he puts the bat on the ball, and he puts great at-bats together, and he knows how to hit it. He gets the average up. I'm not expecting people to hit 330, but if you're a 250 hitter, work a little harder to put the bat on the ball. That might jump up your average 10 points just by changing your approach just a little bit to put that bat on the ball a little bit more. I never understood why people are not more focused on increasing their batting average. That can literally help you in a game, either getting on base or being a productive out or getting an RBI. That's something that the Mets did well last year. And, if you look at the Mets up and down the roster or the lineup, they had got a lot of guys that had 260, 270, a couple of guys in the 280 range. That's why Pete Alonso, why I was very impressed with his year. Not that he hit over 40 home runs. That I expect. Not hitting over 100 RBIs. I expect that from a guy like that. What I loved, his batting average increased by 13 points. That is huge for a power hitter. So he got more. He understood that not just hitting the ball out of the ballpark is the end-all be-all. But every now and then, when you need that hit, you don't need it necessarily a home run, but you need that base hit to maybe get a runner to go to first to third, or hitting the ball in the gap, getting the guy in home from first base. That was a huge deal and why he had 131 RBIs last year. Because of the fact he increased his average, which only helps your team. And that's something that always drives me freaking nuts when it comes down to that. People just like brush off average the same way they always brush off. Like if you talk to people with analytics, they can care less if a batter strikes out, which makes no sense to me. The same idiot analytics that tell you that don't steal bases because it doesn't help your team. Like you're less likely to benefit your team to steal a base than not stealing a base, which is stupid because you put pressure on the catcher and the pitcher, and the pitcher can make a mistake and the batter can benefit from that pitcher worrying about the runner and throwing a big mistake that can cost the other team some runs. So it's just stupid to me that average and stolen bases, two things that can really disrupt the game, is frowned upon in the analytics world, which is stupid. You want to use analytics for everything else. You want to use WAR, which is I think is a waste of a stat because I can name you many guys that are on bad teams that have really good WARs, but it doesn't really matter, right? Give me average RBIs, home runs. You want to do OPS, you want to do on base, you want to do what slugging, fine. But when you get beyond that, it gets a little ridiculous because it's more about the nerd behind the computer than the players on the field. So that's something that you always have to look at. And why, Met fans love Jeff McNeil. Why? Usually all the frenzy and all the craziness for players on your team is usually the guy that hits the most home runs. But why do we love Jeff McNeil? Because of the fact that he puts the bat on the ball, he gets base hits, he hits the ball the other way, he increases his average, which only benefits the team. He makes the defense work. That's why people love him, because he's a great hitter. Just being a home run hitter doesn't mean you're a great hitter. You might be a great power hitter, but when you bat 230, that means at least 7 out of 10 times you either striking out or getting out, or you're hitting the ball over the wall. You're only doing those 3 things. That's something that really does annoy me with a lot of players who can easily do certain things to increase their batting average, but they're too stubborn and don't want to do that. Yeah, Frankie, and you know what? Yeah, it's going with the pitch and everything like that, but it's just so annoying that, and this is the problem with some fans that use analytics to the detriment of baseball. Like, I can care less what Bobbitt says or whatever other stupid analytical stat that basically is meant to just be annoying with numbers. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like there's no reason why a Major League Baseball player can't adjust and can't improve himself to increase his batting average. Nobody's going to be able to be great, but you know what? Guys that can't adjust are usually out of the league. The problem with baseball, you got to help out the players and say, oh, let's not do the shift anymore because there's too many batters that are too stubborn to change their approach at the plate. So let's ban the shift. Even though I agree banning the shift because it got a little ridiculous that, a hog ground ball up the middle that for 100 years was a base hit is now an easy out. And, a ball between first and second is now an easy ground ball. I get the ban of the shift, but it wasn't because they banned the shift because they were like, oh, you know what? It's ridiculous of these shifts. No, it was because too many hitters didn't adjust. And Major League Baseball was like, oh, we need action. Well, if Major League players actually adjusted, which Major League players, the best of the best, are supposed to adjust, that's how you remain in the big leagues. You don't do that and, you bow down to, oh, I don't like the shift, boo-hoo. And you change it because they don't want to adjust. Well, guess what? I guarantee there's 5 guys in the minors that would love to take those guys' spots that don't want to adjust and make the major leagues. That was the whole idea between minor leaguers and major leagues. Major leaguers found a way to adjust to improve themselves when guys who couldn't make the majors couldn't find that adjustment. That's why there's a minor leagues. That's why there's a major leagues. But major, nowadays everybody feels sorry for players and, has to, bow down to the players and don't make the players angry because then they won't like it or they'll ask for a trade or, they'll be mad and, oh, I'm not doing what you're telling me. And then it turns into changing of rules. And that's why there's so many rule changes because players were complaining because they didn't want to adjust. Oh, well, I agree, Alan. Like I said, just because you're a power hitter doesn't mean you have to just pull the ball every single time. How about that outside pitch on the outside corner? A fastball on the outside corner, all you got to do is stick your bat out and it goes down the third base line if you're a left-handed hitter. Like, I'm a left-handed hitter. When I was in high school and college playing, we didn't really shift. You might move the second baseman a little bit over, but nothing like you saw prior. But if they would have done that, I would gladly take a base hit down the third base line every single time and sometimes get a double based on nobody playing there. It's stupid to me. And that's when analytics come saying batting average doesn't matter and strikeouts don't matter. So pitchers can live on the outside part of the plate when guys are pulling off on every single pitch. And if they did get a little bit of contact on that outside pitch, because they're pulling the ball, they're rolling over the ball. It's an easy ground ball to the second baseman or first baseman as a left-handed hitter. So it just never made sense to me, but the rule has changed now. Let's see. You don't have to adjust and adjust the way you hit, because with no shift, them balls up the middle, them balls between first and second for a lefty can go through the hole now, and you get more base hits. We already seen that in spring training, but we also saw in spring training where the left fielder is now going to the right side of the infield, the outfield, and the left field is open for left-handers. And you really think Joey Gallo was going to hit the ball to left field? No, he's going to pull the ball. He's either going to strike out, hit it in the shift, and we call it a day. So it's very interesting to see how all these things are going to hopefully fix the game for the better. I think the pitch clock is stupid. I think it's a waste of time, honestly. But it's a rule. We all got to adjust as players and as fans. The bigger bases, it might bring more stolen bases. Obviously, the pickoff attempts is definitely going to increase stolen bases, because pitchers are going to be more hesitant to try to pick a guy off, because you can't do it as many times now. And now you're going to see a lot of catchers throwing over to first base now, trying to pick off the runner at first, because that's not a disengagement from the pitcher. So it's going to be a lot of changes that we're going to get used to. And, I'm sorry, when I go to a game, I know I'm going to be there for 3.5 hours. And if you don't like being at a ball game for at least 3 hours, then don't go to games. Like, I just, stay at home, watch the game on TV, and you can shut it off anytime you want. That's the way I see it. I'm sorry. If you're going to an event, any event, you wish it would last as long as possible. I'm not saying you need a 6-hour game, but it's not like there was extra innings every single game. And, a 3.5-hour game is not the end of the world. Some people travel. What about the people that travel 2 hours to the Met game, who travel 2 hours through traffic and now sit at Citi Field, watch a game? It's over in 2.5 hours. And now they traveled to Citi Field and back home a total of 4 hours, yet they spent less time at the event and more time driving. I don't get that. The only reason why I like the pitch clock is because it becomes a strategy with the hitters and the pitchers. But you know how fast we're not going to like it? When it affects and the violations happen, when our pitcher doesn't get the pitch off in time, and the pitch count, the count goes to 3-2 instead of 2-2, and the strikeout could have happened, and now it's a 3-2 count instead of a 2-2 count. The same thing with the batter. If the batter doesn't get in the batter's box by the 8 seconds, that is a strike on the batter. What happens if that batter strikes out with 2 strikes because he forgot to step in the box at 8 seconds? And, that's going to be a strategy. But when it affects your team, you're not going to like it. The same thing with the shift. When certain people shift a lot more for one of your players, it was annoying. But we'll see how it is. So once again, guys, the Mets game is going to start in about 5 minutes. Dofu Sports app. You can watch the road broadcast from that app. If you want to watch the road broadcast, you can. At least you get some Mets baseball while you're at it. 6:05, Carlos Carrasco was on the mound for the Mets against Framber Valdez. And we'll see how the Mets do lineup-wise, and see how Carlos Carrasco does the second time in spring training with the pitch clock. He struggled a little bit and complained about it after the game. Let's see if he adjusted a little bit to the pitch clock. So with that said, guys, everybody have a great night. Enjoy the Mets radio broadcast or road broadcast if you're going to watch it on the app. Everybody have a great night. As always, Mets fans, let's go Mets. See you next time, guys. Good night.
You'll find